In a small, secluded house nestled deep within the woods, a young girl named Emily found herself alone on stormy night. The rain poured relentlessly outside, creating a symphony of sound that echoed through the empty rooms. Seeking solace, Emily decided to take a bath, hoping the warm water would wash away her worries. As she filled the bathtub, the rain continued to beat against the windows, its rhythm both soothing and unsettling. Emily sank into the water, feeling the tension in her muscles slowly dissipate. The flickering candle light cast dancing shadows on the bathroom walls, creating an atmosphere of tranquility. But as Emily closed her eyes, a sense of unease crept over her. The rain seemed to grow louder, its intensity matching the rapid beating of her heart. She dismissed her fears as mere imagination, determined to enjoy her moment of respite. Suddenly, a chill swept through the room, causing Emily's skin to prickle with goosebumps. She opened her eyes, her heart pounding in her chest. The bathroom mirror fogged up, obscuring her reflection. Panic welled up within her, but she couldn't tear her gaze away from the mirror. Through the mist, a faint figure began to materialize. It was a young girl, her face pale and eyes hollow. Her lips moved soundlessly, as if trying to communicate a message from beyond. Emily's breath caught in her throat, her mind racing to comprehend the supernatural presence before her. The figure reached out, her hand pressing against the fog mirror. Emily's instincts screamed at her to flee, to escape the confines of the bathroom. But fear rooted her to the spot, her body paralyzed by a mix of terror and curiosity. As the figure's hand made contact with the mirror, the glass shattered, sending shards flying in all directions. Emily screamed, the sound drowned out by the storm raging outside. The water in the bathtub turned icy cold, wrapping around her like a suffocating embrace. With a surge of adrenaline, Emily broke free from her fear-induced paralysis and scrambled out of the bathtub. She stumbled towards the bathroom door, slipping on the wet tiles. Desperation fueled her movements as she fought to escape the clutches of the supernatural presence. As she burst out of the bathroom, Emily found herself in the hallway, rainwater seeping through the cracks in the ceiling. The house seemed to groan with an otherworldly presence, its walls closing in around her. She ran, her footsteps echoing through the empty corridors, desperately seeking an exit. Finally, Emily burst through the front door, rain pouring down upon her. She collapsed onto the wet ground, gasping for breath, her body trembling with a mix of fear and relief. The storm raged on, its fury matching the terror that had unfolded within the house. From that night on, Emily could never forget the haunting encounter in the bathroom. The memory of the figure in the mirror haunted her, a chilling reminder of the darkness that could manifest on a stormy night. And whenever it rained, she couldn't help but feel a lingering unease, as if the rain itself held secrets she was not meant to uncover. Pool area was deserted, and the echoing sound of raindrops filled the air, adding an eerie ambience to the scene. Undeterred by the storm, the girl decided to take a late-night swim. She loved the feeling of the water against her skin, and the tranquility brought her with a sense of adventure. She stepped into the pool, the raindrops merging with the cool water, creating a surreal experience. As she swam, the rain intensified, making it difficult to see beyond the pool's edge. The sound of thunder rumbled in the distance, adding an element of danger to her solitary swim. Yet, she felt a strange thrill, embracing the solitude and the power of the storm. But as the rain continued to pour, the girl began to sense a presence around her. She felt eyes watching her, unseen and mysterious. A chill ran down her spine, and a feeling of unease settled in her gut. She tried to shake off the feeling, attributing it to her imagination running wild. As she swam towards the pool's edge, she noticed movement in the shadows. A figure emerged from the darkness, its silhouette distorted by the rain. Fear gripped her heart as she realized she was not alone. Panic surged through her veins, urging her to escape. With each stroke, the girl swam faster, desperately trying to reach the safety of the pool's edge. But the figure pursued her relentlessly, its presence growing closer with each passing moment. The rain continued to pour, obscuring her vision and disorienting her senses. As she finally reached the edge of the pool, she pulled herself out, gasping for breath. The figure loomed behind her, its intentions unknown. She turned to confront it, but to her astonishment, there was no one there. The rain continued to fall, washing away any trace of the mysterious presence. Shaken and trembling, the girl hurriedly made her way back indoors, seeking refuge from the storm and the unexplained encounter. The night swim that was meant to be a peaceful escape had turned into a chilling ordeal, forever etched in her memory. From that day forward, whenever it rained, the girl couldn't help but feel a lingering sense of unease, wondering if the figure from that fateful night would ever return. The rain became a reminder of the mysterious presence that had haunted her, forever altering her perception of solitude and the tranquility of a nighttime swim. One dark and stormy night, a group of friends decided to embark on an adventure. They had heard rumors of a haunted highway nearby and were eager to test their courage. The stakes were high. Whoever could survive the drive would be crowned the bravest of them all. As they set off, the rain poured down heavily, creating an eerie atmosphere. The highway seemed deserted, with no other cars in sight. The friends gripped the steering wheel tightly, their eyes darting around, trying to catch a glimpse of any paranormal activity. The characters were well defined, each with their unique characteristics. There was Sarah, the fearless leader, always up for a challenge. John, the skeptic, who refused to believe in ghosts. Emma, the sensitive one, who could sense the presence of supernatural beings. And Michael, the joker, who used humor as a defense mechanism. The tension grew as they ventured deeper into the darkness. The wind howled and the trees swayed ominously, casting eerie shadows on the road. Suddenly, the group's car started to sputter, and the engine died. Panic set in as they realized they were stranded in the middle of nowhere. They decided to stick together and search for help. As they made their way through the fog, strange noises echoed from the surrounding woods. Sarah's heart raced as she felt a cold breath on the back of her neck. Emma's skin prickled, sensing a presence lurking nearby. John couldn't deny the shivers that crawled down his spine. Even Michael, the joker, lost his composure, his laughter turning into nervous chuckles. They stumbled upon an old abandoned house, its windows cracked and the door. Creaking ominously, reluctantly, they pushed the door open and entered. The air inside was heavy with a sense of foreboding. The walls were adorned with faded portraits of people long gone, their eyes seemingly following their every move. As they explored further, the friends heard whispers in the distance. Shadows danced on the walls, creating unsettling patterns. The house seemed to have a life of its own, as if it wanted to keep them trapped forever. Just when they thought they couldn't bear it any longer, a piercing scream echoed through the air. It was Sarah. She had stumbled upon a hidden room that held a horrifying secret. The tortured spirits of the previous owners. These restless souls sought revenge, and now they wanted the friends to suffer as well. In a desperate attempt to escape, the group ran towards the front door, but it slammed shut, trapping them inside. Ghostly hands reached out for them, grabbing their arms and pulling them back. Their terrified screams filled the air as they realized their fate was sealed. However, in a surprising turn of events, John's skepticism proved to be their salvation. He mustered up the courage to shout, "This is all a hoax. We don't believe in you." And just like that, the spirits vanished into thin air, leaving the friends in shock. They quickly made their way out of the house, back to their car. The engine miraculously started, and they sped away from the haunted highway forever, changed by their spine-chilling experience. The climax of the story left the readers surprised and relieved. It showed that sometimes courage and disbelief can triumph over fear and superstition. The friends will forever cherish their terrifying adventure on the haunted highway, knowing that they had faced their deepest fears and emerged stronger because of it. In the heart of the city, a hospital stood tall, its imposing structure illuminated by the glow of street lights on a rainy night. Inside, the corridors echoed with the sounds of footsteps and the occasional beep of medical equipment. The rain pelted against the windows, casting a gloomy atmosphere over the building. Amidst the hustle and bustle, a young nurse named Sarah found herself on the night shift. As she made her rounds, the rain intensified, creating an eerie backdrop to her solitary footsteps. The hospital seemed to take on a different aura at night, its hallways shrouded in shadows that danced with each flicker of lightning. As Sarah entered a dimly lit ward, a chill ran down her spine. The rain tapped against the windows, creating an unsettling rhythm that seemed to match the unease in the air. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, her senses heightened by the combination of the storm and the hospital's eerie ambience. As she tended to her patients, Sarah couldn't help but notice the whispers that filled the ward. The rain seemed to carry distant voices, whispers that spoke of forgotten secrets and haunting memories. She dismissed them as figments of her imagination, attributing them to the late-night fatigue. But as the night wore on, the whispers grew louder, more distinct. Sarah's heart raced as she realized they were coming from the empty rooms, the spaces between the patients' beds. The rain outside seemed to amplify the voices, their haunting words echoing through the ward. With trembling hands, Sarah approached one of the empty rooms, her curiosity overpowering her fear. As she pushed open the door, a gust of wind rushed past her, extinguishing the flickering light above. Darkness enveloped the room, broken only by the flashes of lightning outside. In the brief moments of illumination, Sarah caught glimpses of figures standing in the corners of the room. Their eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, their presence sending shivers down her spine. The rain continued to pour, its relentless rhythm matching the pounding of her heart. Overwhelmed by fear, Sarah stumbled backward, her mind racing with thoughts of escape. She rushed through the ward, the rain outside seeming to mock her attempts to find solace. The hospital's corridors stretched endlessly before her, their shadows morphing into sinister shapes. Finally, Sarah burst through the hospital's entrance, rain pouring down upon her. She collapsed onto the wet pavement, gasping for breath, her body drenched and trembling. The storm raged on, its fury mirroring the terror she had experienced within the hospital's walls. From that night on, Sarah could never forget the haunting encounter in the hospital. The memory of the whispers and the eerie figures would forever linger in her mind, a chilling reminder of the darkness that could manifest on a rainy night. And whenever it rained, she couldn't help but feel a lingering unease, as if the rain itself held secrets she was not meant to uncover. As the rain poured down relentlessly, I found myself walking alone on a dimly lit street in the dead of night. The sound of raindrops hitting the pavement echoed through the empty alleys, creating an eerie ambience. Each step I took seemed to be swallowed by the darkness, as if the night itself was conspiring against me. The rain intensified, drenching me from head to toe, making it difficult to see more than a few feet ahead. The street lights flickered ominously, casting long, distorted shadows that danced in the downpour. A sense of unease settled in, but I pressed on, determined to reach my destination. As I walked, the sound of my footsteps merged with the patter of rain, creating an eerie symphony. The deserted streets seemed to stretch endlessly, devoid of any signs of life. The occasional gust of wind whispered through the trees, sending shivers down my spine. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness. It was a man, his face obscured by a tattered hood, his clothes drenched and clinging to his body. He stood there, motionless, watching me with piercing eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light. A chill ran down my spine as I hesitated, unsure of what to do. Should I continue walking or turn back? Against my better judgment, I decided to keep going, hoping it was just a passerby caught in the rain like me. But as I walked past him, a cold gust of wind swept through, carrying a whisper that sent shivers down my spine. I turned around, only to find the man had vanished into thin air. Panic gripped me as I quickened my pace, my heart pounding in my chest. The rain continued to pour relentlessly, obscuring my vision and distorting my surroundings. Shadows seemed to move in the corners of my eyes, and the sound of whispers filled the air. I felt as if I was being watched, followed by an unseen presence. With each step, the feeling of dread intensified. The rain seemed to grow heavier, as if it was trying to wash away any trace of my existence. I desperately searched for shelter, but the streets remained empty, devoid of any refuge. As I turned a corner, I saw a flickering street light ahead. Relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. The light abruptly went out, plunging me into complete darkness. Fear consumed me as I fumbled for my phone, hoping to find some source of light. But as I unlocked my phone, the screen illuminated a horrifying sight. The man I had encountered earlier stood just a few feet away, his face contorted into a sinister grin. His eyes glowed with an otherworldly intensity, sending a wave of terror through my entire being. I screamed and ran, my heart pounding in my chest. The rain soaked me to the bone, hindering my escape. The sound of his laughter echoed through the night, fueling my fear. I stumbled and fell, my body crashing onto the wet pavement. As I lay there, helpless and vulnerable, the man loomed over me, his presence suffocating. I closed my eyes, bracing for the worst, but when I opened them again, he was gone. The rain continued to pour, washing away any trace of his existence. Shaken and battered, I managed to pick myself up and stumble my way home. The night walk had turned into a nightmare, forever etched in my memory. And to this day, whenever it rains, I can't help but feel a lingering sense of unease, wondering if he's still out there, waiting for his next victim. On a stormy night, rain poured relentlessly, drenching the world in a watery haze. In the midst of this downpour, a lone gas station stood, its neon lights flickering eerily against the darkened sky. The surrounding area was deserted, and the sound of raindrops hitting the pavement echoed through the night. Inside the gas station, a weary attendant named Sarah worked the late shift. The storm had kept customers away, leaving her alone with her thoughts and the rhythmic patter of rain against the windows. As the hours ticked by, a sense of unease settled upon her, amplified by the storm's intensity. Suddenly, a car pulled up to the gas pumps, breaking the silence. Sarah peered through the rain-streaked glass, her heart skipping a beat. The vehicle was old and worn, its windows tinted, making it impossible to see who was inside. A shiver ran down her spine, but duty called, and she stepped outside to assist the mysterious driver. As Sarah approached the car, she noticed the driver's side window was cracked open, raindrops trickling inside. She called out, her voice barely audible over the storm, but received no response. A feeling of dread washed over her, but she pressed on, determined to fulfill her duty. With trembling hands, Sarah reached for the gas pump, her eyes darting nervously towards the car. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the vehicle, their face obscured by a hooded raincoat. The figure moved with an unnatural grace, sending a chill down Sarah's spine. As the figure approached, Sarah's instincts screamed at her to run, to seek safety within the gas station. But fear rooted her to the spot, her body paralyzed by a mix of curiosity and terror. The figure's footsteps echoed ominously against the wet pavement, each step bringing them closer. With a voice that seemed to carry the weight of the storm, the figure spoke, their words laced with an unsettling calmness. They asked for directions to a nearby town, their eyes hidden beneath the hood. Sarah's voice caught in her throat, unable to respond, her mind consumed by a primal fear. Just as the figure reached out towards her, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the scene. In that brief moment, Sarah caught a glimpse of their face, twisted and contorted, a mask of pure malevolence. The rain intensified, as if nature itself was warning her of the impending danger. Summoning every ounce of courage, Sarah broke free from her fear-induced paralysis and sprinted towards the gas station. The figure pursued her, their footsteps echoing through the storm. She slammed the door shut, locking it behind her, her heart pounding in her chest, tearing through the rain-streaked windows. Sarah watched as the figure circled the gas station, their presence a haunting reminder of the darkness that lurked outside. The storm raged on, its fury matching the terror that had unfolded before her eyes. From that night on, Sarah never worked the late shift alone again. The memory of the figure at the gas station haunted her, a chilling reminder of the dangers that could emerge from the shadows on a stormy night. And whenever it rained, she couldn't help but feel a lingering unease, as if the storm itself held secrets she was not meant to uncover. In a small, isolated house, a young girl found herself alone on a stormy night. The rain poured relentlessly, drumming against the windows and creating an eerie symphony of sound. The flickering lights cast unsettling shadows throughout the empty rooms, intensifying the feeling of isolation. As the storm raged on, the girl sought solace in her bedroom, trying to distract herself from the unsettling atmosphere. She curled up on her bed, clutching a book tightly, hoping to find comfort within its pages. But the sound of the rain tapping against the roof and the occasional thunderclap made it difficult to focus. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from downstairs, jolting the girl from her uneasy state. Fear gripped her heart as she cautiously made her way downstairs to investigate. The creaking of the wooden steps seemed to amplify the silence, making her footsteps sound deafening. As she reached the bottom of the stairs, she noticed that the front door was wide open, allowing the rain to invade the house. Panic surged through her veins as she realized that she was not alone. Someone or something had entered her home. With trembling hands, she closed the door, desperately trying to shut out the storm and the unknown presence lurking in the darkness. The rain continued to pour outside, obscuring her view of the outside world. Every shadow seemed to hold a hidden threat. As she tiptoed through the house, she noticed that objects had been moved, as if someone had been searching for something. The air grew heavy with an unsettling energy, and a sense of being watched settled upon her. A sudden gust of wind extinguished the candle she had lit, plunging the house into complete darkness. The girl's heart raced as she fumbled for her phone, hoping to find some source of light. But as she unlocked it, the screen illuminated a chilling sight. In the dim glow of her phone, she saw a figure standing just a few feet away, their face obscured by the shadows. Fear paralyzed her as she tried to scream, but no sound escaped her lips. The figure moved closer, their presence suffocating. With a burst of adrenaline, the girl turned and ran, her heart pounding in her chest. The rain soaked her to the bone, hindering her escape. She stumbled and fell, her body crashing onto the wet ground. As she lay there, vulnerable and terrified, the figure loomed over her, their intentions unknown. She closed her eyes, bracing for the worst. But when she opened them again, the figure had vanished. The rain continued to pour, washing away any trace of their presence. Shaken and trembling, the girl managed to pick herself up and run to a neighbor's house for help. The night alone had turned into a nightmare, forever etched in her memory. And to this day, whenever it rains, she can't help but feel a lingering sense of unease, wondering if that figure will ever return. In a dimly lit room, a young gamer sat alone, immersed in a virtual reality VR horror game. The rain poured outside, creating a soothing backdrop for his gaming session. With his headset on and controllers in hand, he delved deeper into the virtual world, unaware of the chilling experience that awaited him. As the game progressed, the virtual rain began to mimic the real-world storm outside. The sound of raindrops hitting the virtual ground merged with the actual rain hitting his window, blurring the line between reality and the game. The atmosphere grew increasingly eerie, setting the stage for a truly terrifying encounter. In the game, the protagonist found himself in a desolate, abandoned mansion. The flickering lights and distant thunder added to the suspense. As he cautiously explored the darkened hallways, the virtual rain splashed against the windows, obscuring his vision and heightening the tension. As he ventured deeper into the mansion, strange occurrences began to unfold. Objects moved on their own, and eerie whispers echoed through the virtual space. The gamer's heart raced as he navigated through the chilling atmosphere, his senses on high alert. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, its presence sending a shiver down his spine. The virtual rain intensified, blurring his vision and making it difficult to discern friend from foe. The figure, clad in tattered clothing, moved closer, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly intensity. With each step, the gamer's heart pounded in his chest. He tried to escape, but the virtual world seemed to conspire against him. The rain poured harder, obscuring his path and disorienting his senses. Panic consumed him as he desperately searched for a way out. As the figure closed in, the gamer's virtual reality experience mirrored his real-world fear. The rain outside seemed to echo the virtual storm, amplifying the terror. He could feel the figure's breath on his neck, its presence suffocating. In a final act of desperation, the gamer ripped off his headset, breaking free from the virtual nightmare. He found himself back in his room, drenched in sweat, the rain still pouring outside. The relief of escaping the game washed over him, but a lingering unease remained. As he sat there, contemplating the experience, he couldn't help but wonder if the virtual horror had somehow seeped into his reality. The rain continued to fall, its rhythmic patter a constant reminder of the chilling encounter he had just endured. From that day forward, the gamer approached VR horror games with caution, always mindful of the potential for a truly terrifying experience. And whenever it rained, he couldn't help but feel a sense of unease, wondering if the virtual horrors he had faced would ever manifest in the real world. In the midst of a torrential downpour, a young couple found themselves driving through a desolate countryside. The rain battered against their car, creating an eerie symphony of sound. The darkness outside was punctuated only by the occasional flash of lightning, casting fleeting shadows on the road ahead. As they navigated through the storm, the couple noticed a faint glow in the distance. Curiosity piqued, they decided to investigate, hoping to find shelter from the relentless rain. The glow led them to an old, dilapidated house, standing alone in the middle of nowhere. With trepidation, they approached the house, its weathered facade giving off an unsettling aura. The front door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit interior. Hesitant but desperate for refuge, they stepped inside, their footsteps echoing through the empty halls. As they explored the house, they discovered a series of disturbing photographs adorning the walls. Each picture depicted a family, their faces twisted with malevolence and their eyes filled with an unsettling emptiness. The couple's unease grew with each passing moment, but they couldn't resist the urge to uncover the secrets hidden within the house. Suddenly, a chilling draft swept through the hallway, extinguishing the flickering candles that lined the walls. Darkness enveloped the couple, and a sense of foreboding settled upon them. Whispers echoed through the air, their source impossible to discern. In the distance, they heard the sound of footsteps, slow and deliberate. Panic surged through their veins as they realized they were not alone. The footsteps grew closer, accompanied by the faint sound of laughter, cold and devoid of joy. With each passing moment, the couple's fear intensified. They desperately searched for an exit, but the house seemed to shift and change, trapping them within its walls. The rain continued to pour outside, as if nature itself was mourning their impending fate. As the footsteps reached a crescendo, the couple found themselves face to face with the family from the photographs. Their eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, their smiles twisted into grotesque grins. The couple's screams were drowned out by the storm, their pleas for mercy falling on deaf ears. In the darkness, the couple's fate was sealed. Their presence became just another haunting memory within the house, forever trapped in a nightmarish existence. And as the rain continued to fall, washing away any trace of their existence, the house stood as a chilling reminder of the horrors that can lurk within the shadows on a stormy night. As they strolled down the quiet street, the husband and wife enjoyed the peacefulness of the evening. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the neighborhood. They held hands, their footsteps echoing in the stillness. But little did they know this serene walk would soon take a disturbing turn. Suddenly, a strange figure emerged from the shadows. It was a man with disheveled hair and wild eyes. He staggered towards them, mumbling incomprehensible words under his breath. The couple instinctively moved closer, together, their hearts pounding in their chests. As the man drew nearer, they noticed his tattered clothing and the desperate look. In his eyes, he seemed lost and broken, a shadow of his former self. The husband cautiously stepped forward, ready to protect his wife if needed. But instead of violence, the man extended a trembling hand towards them. His voice quivered as he spoke, his words a haunting plea for help. He told them a heartbreaking tale of loss and despair, of a life torn apart by tragedy. The couple listened with a mix of fear and compassion. They could feel the weight of the man's pain, his anguish seeping into their souls. They exchanged a silent glance, an unspoken agreement to offer a helping hand. With a gentle touch, the wife reached into her purse and handed the man a few dollars. It was a small gesture, but one filled with empathy and understanding. The man's eyes filled with tears as he accepted the money, his gratitude palpable. As they continued their walk, the couple couldn't shake off the unsettling encounter. Their once peaceful stroll now carried a heaviness, the weight of the world's suffering pressing upon them. They held each other tightly, seeking solace in their shared love and compassion. In the days that followed, the couple made an effort to give back to their community. They volunteered at local shelters, donated to charities, and reached out to those in need. The disturbing encounter had sparked a flame within them, a desire to make a difference in the world. And so their walks became not just a time for leisure, but also a reminder of the fragility of life and the power of compassion. They walked hand in hand, ready to face the darkness with love and kindness in their hearts. On a stormy night, a school bus trudged along a desolate road, its yellow exterior barely visible through the heavy rain. Inside, a group of students huddled together, their faces etched with a mix of exhaustion and anticipation. The rain pounded against the windows, creating an eerie backdrop to their journey. As the bus rumbled on, the storm intensified, causing the driver to struggle with visibility. Lightning flashed across the sky, briefly illuminating the darkness outside. The students exchanged nervous glances, their imaginations running wild with thoughts of what lurked beyond the rain-soaked windows. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the air, followed by a jolt that sent the bus swerving off the road. Panic erupted among the students as the bus came to a halt, its wheels sinking into the muddy ground. The driver, visibly shaken, announced that they would need to wait for help to arrive. As the rain poured relentlessly, the students sat in the dimly lit bus, their anxiety growing with each passing minute. The atmosphere inside the vehicle became suffocating, the sound of raindrops against the metal exterior creating an unsettling symphony. In the distance, a flickering street light cast eerie shadows on the rain-soaked surroundings. The students peered out, their eyes searching for any signs of help. But instead they caught glimpses of movement in the darkness, shapes that seemed to dart between the trees. Whispers filled the bus as the students exchanged fearful theories about what could be lurking outside. Some spoke of ghostly apparitions, while others mentioned urban legends of creatures that prowled the night. The rain seemed to amplify their fears, each droplet a reminder of the unknown horrors that awaited them. As the minutes turned into hours, the students' nerves frayed, their imaginations running wild. Shadows danced outside the bus, their movements growing more sinister with each passing moment. The rain continued to pour, as if nature itself was warning them of the impending danger. Just as despair began to settle in, the sound of approaching sirens cut through the stormy night. Relief washed over the students as rescue vehicles arrived, their flashing lights piercing through the darkness. The bus driver, visibly shaken, explained the situation, grateful for the arrival of help. As the students were escorted to safety, they couldn't help but cast one last glance at the rain-soaked bus. The rain continued to fall, washing away the eerie atmosphere that had consumed them, but the memory of that night would forever haunt their thoughts, a reminder of the chilling encounter they had experienced on a stormy night in the confines of a school bus. It was a dark and stormy night as Sarah sat in her car, a feeling of unease settling deep within her bones. She had heard tales of this abandoned road, rumors of its haunted past, but she hadn't believed them until now. The wind howled, causing the trees to sway ominously, and rain pounded against the windshield, obstructing her view. Sarah's car crept forward, the only sound breaking the silence of the night. The road seemed to stretch on endlessly, winding through a thick forest. She couldn't see beyond the glow of her headlights, but she knew they were not alone. Shadows danced in the periphery, whispering sinister secrets. Her heart raced, adrenaline pumping through her veins. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the distance, standing in the middle of the road. Sarah slammed on the brakes, her tires screeching against the wet pavement. As her car came to a halt, she squinted, trying to make out the details of the mysterious figure. It was a woman, dressed in a tattered white gown, her long, black hair cascading down her back like a waterfall of darkness. Frozen in fear, Sarah watched as the woman slowly turned her head and locked eyes with her. The look in the woman's eyes chilled her to the core, a haunting mixture of sorrow and rage. Without warning, the woman vanished into thin air, leaving Sarah bewildered and terrified. As if on cue, the car engine sputtered and died. Panic surged through Sarah's veins as she desperately tried to restart it, but to no avail. The silence engulfed her, broken only by the sound of her own rapid breathing. In the distance, Sarah heard a faint cry, a mournful wail that sent shivers down her spine. She looked out the window and gasped. The trees surrounding her car were quivering with an otherworldly energy, their branches elongating and contorting into grotesque shapes. The forest seemed alive, a chorus of whispers filling the air. Desperation took hold of Sarah as she fumbled for her phone, praying for a signal that wouldn't come. She was trapped, alone with the unknown. The darkness pressed in on her, an oppressive force that suffocated her every breath. Just when all hope seemed lost, a blinding light pierced through the darkness, illuminating the road ahead. Sarah squinted, shielding her eyes from the glare. The light grew closer, revealing a car approaching from behind. Relief washed over her as the car came to a stop beside her. The driver's window rolled down, revealing a kind-faced woman who seemed oddly familiar. "Need a hand, dear?" she asked with a warm smile. Sarah nodded gratefully, her voice lost in the terror that still gripped her. The woman stepped out of her car and approached Sarah's, as if unaffected by the eerie atmosphere. Within moments, the stranger had managed to start Sarah's car, the engine purring to life. "Thank you," Sarah managed to whisper, her voice trembling. "Who are you?" The woman's eyes sparkled with an otherworldly wisdom. "Just a fellow traveler," she said, her voice filled with an ethereal calmness. "Remember, not all roads lead to darkness. Sometimes it takes a helping hand to guide you back to the light." With those cryptic words, the woman nodded and drove away, disappearing into the night. Sarah watched her taillights until they faded into the distance, a renewed sense of hope blossoming within her. As she continued her journey, the storm began to subside, the rain relenting and the wind dying down. The road ahead, though still shrouded in mystery, felt less daunting now. Sarah gripped the steering wheel, a newfound bravery coursing through her veins. She would drive through the unknown, armed with the knowledge that sometimes, even in the darkest of nights, there is a glimmer of light waiting to guide you home. In the dead of night, rain poured relentlessly, transforming the world into a murky abyss. A lone gas station stood as a beacon of light amidst the darkness, its neon signs flickering eerily against the stormy sky. The sound of raindrops drumming against the pavement created an eerie symphony that echoed through the night. Inside the gas station, a weary attendant named Mark worked the graveyard shift. The storm had driven away any potential customers, leaving him alone with his thoughts and the unsettling ambience of the rain. As the hours ticked by, a sense of unease settled upon him, amplified by the relentless downpour. Suddenly, a car screeched into the gas station, its tires skidding on the wet pavement. Mark peered through the rain-streaked windows, his heart skipping a beat. The vehicle was battered and dented, its windows fogged up, obscuring the occupants inside. A shiver ran down his spine, but duty called, and he stepped outside to assist the mysterious driver. As Mark approached the car, he noticed the driver's side window was cracked open, rainwater trickling inside. He called out, his voice barely audible over the storm, but received no response. A feeling of dread washed over him, but he pressed on, determined to fulfill his duty. With trembling hands, Mark reached for the gas pump, his eyes darting nervously towards the car. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the vehicle, their face hidden beneath a hooded raincoat. The figure moved with an unnatural grace, sending a chill down Mark's spine. As the figure approached, Mark's instincts screamed at him to run, to seek safety within the gas station. But fear rooted him to the spot, his body paralyzed by a mix of curiosity and terror. The figure's footsteps echoed ominously against the wet pavement, each step bringing them closer. With a voice that seemed to carry the weight of the storm, the figure spoke, their words laced with an unsettling calmness. They asked for help, their eyes hidden beneath the hood. Mark's voice caught in his throat. Unable to respond, his mind consumed by a primal fear. Just as the figure reached out towards him, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the scene. In that brief moment, Mark caught a glimpse of their face, twisted and contorted, a mask of pure malevolence. The rain intensified, as if nature itself was warning him of the impending danger. Summoning every ounce of courage, Mark broke free from his fear-induced paralysis and sprinted towards the gas station. The figure pursued him, their footsteps echoing through the storm. He slammed the door shut, locking it behind him, his heart pounding in his chest. Tearing through the rain-streaked windows, Mark watched as the figure circled the gas station, their presence a haunting reminder of the darkness that lurked outside. The storm raged on, its fury matching the terror that had unfolded before his eyes. From that night on, Mark never worked the night shift alone again. The memory of the figure at the gas station haunted him, a chilling reminder of the dangers that could emerge from the shadows on a stormy night. And whenever it rained, he couldn't help but feel a lingering unease, as if the storm itself held secrets he was not meant to uncover. As they strolled down the quiet street, the husband and wife enjoyed the peacefulness of the evening. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the neighborhood. They held hands, their footsteps echoing in the stillness. But little did they know this serene walk would soon take a disturbing turn. Suddenly, a strange figure emerged from the shadows. It was a man with disheveled hair and wild eyes. He staggered towards them, mumbling, incomprehensible words under his breath. The couple instinctively moved closer, together, their hearts pounding in their chests. As the man drew nearer, they noticed his tattered clothing and the desperate look. In his eyes, he seemed lost and broken, a shadow of his former self. The husband cautiously stepped forward, ready to protect his wife if needed. But instead of violence, the man extended a trembling hand towards them. His voice quivered as he spoke, his words a haunting plea for help. He told them a heartbreaking tale of loss and despair, of a life torn apart by tragedy. The couple listened with a mix of fear and compassion. They could feel the weight of the man's pain, his anguish seeping into their souls. They exchanged a silent glance, an unspoken agreement to offer a helping hand. With a gentle touch, the wife reached into her purse and handed the man a few dollars. It was a small gesture, but one filled with empathy and understanding. The man's eyes filled with tears as he accepted the money, his gratitude palpable. As they continued their walk, the couple couldn't shake off the unsettling encounter. Their once peaceful stroll now carried a heaviness, the weight of the world's suffering pressing upon them. They held each other tightly, seeking solace in their shared love and compassion. In the days that followed, the couple made an effort to give back to their community. They volunteered at local shelters, donated to charities, and reached out to those in need. The disturbing encounter had sparked a flame within them, a desire to make a difference in the world. And so their walks became not just a time for leisure, but also a reminder of the fragility of life and the power of compassion. They walked hand in hand, ready to face the darkness with love and kindness in their hearts. In the heart of a desolate town, an old, abandoned hospital stood as a haunting reminder of a forgotten era. Its decaying walls and broken windows were a testament to the passage of time. On a stormy night, rain poured relentlessly, casting a gloomy atmosphere over the dilapidated building. Curiosity got the better of a group of friends who decided to explore the abandoned hospital. Armed with flashlights, they ventured into the darkness, their footsteps echoing through the empty hallways. The rain outside intensified, creating an eerie symphony that seemed to harmonize with their growing unease. As they made their way deeper into the hospital, the friends noticed strange markings on the walls, symbols that hinted at a dark past. The rain seeped through the cracks in the ceiling, dripping ominously onto the worn-out floors. Each step they took seemed to awaken the spirits that lingered within the abandoned halls. Whispers filled the air, carried by the rain-soaked wind. The friends exchanged nervous glances, their hearts pounding in their chests. Shadows danced on the walls, their movements growing more menacing with each flicker of lightning. The hospital seemed to come alive, its forgotten secrets awakening in the stormy night. As they explored further, the friends stumbled upon a decrepit operating room. The rainwater dripped onto the rusted surgical tools, creating an eerie melody that sent shivers down their spines. The air grew heavy with a sense of foreboding, as if the hospital itself was warning them to leave. But it was too late. The doors slammed shut behind them, trapping them inside the hospital's dark embrace. Panic consumed the group as they desperately searched for an exit, their flashlights casting eerie shadows on the peeling wallpaper. The rain outside seemed to mock their attempts to escape, its relentless downpour a reminder of their dire situation. Whispers turned into chilling laughter, echoing through the corridors. The friends' hearts raced as they realized they were not alone. Ghostly figures emerged from the shadows, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. The rain intensified, as if feeding the malevolent energy that surrounded them. In a desperate bid for survival, the friends split up, each one trying to find a way out. But the hospital seemed to shift and change, its layout becoming a labyrinth of darkness. The rain continued to pour, washing away any hope they had left. One by one, the friends succumbed to the horrors of the hospital. Their screams were drowned out by the relentless rain, their pleas for help falling on deaf ears. The storm raged on, its fury mirroring the terror that unfolded within the abandoned hospital's walls. As morning broke, the rain finally ceased, leaving behind a desolate silence. The abandoned hospital stood as a grim reminder of the tragedy that had unfolded within its walls. The friends were never seen again, their fate forever entwined with the haunting presence that lurked in the rain-soaked darkness. Once upon a time, on a stormy night, a school bus embarked on its usual route through a small, secluded town. The rain poured relentlessly, creating a veil of darkness that enveloped the bus as it trudged along the winding roads. Inside, a group of students sat, their faces etched with weariness from a long day of classes. As the rain battered against the windows, the bus driver struggled to maintain control. Thunder rumbled ominously, and lightning illuminated the sky, casting eerie shadows on the rain-soaked surroundings. The students exchanged nervous glances, their imaginations running wild with thoughts of what lurked beyond the foggy glass. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the air, followed by a jolt that sent the bus careening off the road. Panic erupted among the students as the bus came to a halt, its wheels sinking into the muddy ground. The driver, visibly shaken, announced that they would need to wait for help to arrive. As the rain continued to pour, the atmosphere inside the bus grew increasingly tense. The students huddled together, seeking comfort in each other's presence. But as the minutes turned into hours, their nerves began to fray, and a sense of unease settled over them. Outside, the rain beat against the bus, creating an eerie symphony that seemed to echo with whispers of the unknown. Shadows danced in the darkness, their movements growing more sinister with each passing moment. The students peered out, their hearts pounding, as they caught glimpses of figures lurking in the rain-soaked distance. Whispers filled the bus as the students shared fearful theories about what could be lurking outside. Some spoke of vengeful spirits, while others mentioned urban legends of creatures that prowled the night. The rain seemed to amplify their fears, each droplet a reminder of the impending danger that surrounded them. As the night wore on, the students' anxiety reached its peak. The rain showed no signs of relenting, and the shadows outside seemed to grow bolder, inching closer to the bus. Their imaginations ran wild, conjuring up terrifying scenarios of what awaited them in the darkness. Just when despair threatened to consume them, a flicker of headlights pierced through the rain-soaked night. Relief washed over the students as rescue vehicles arrived, their sirens cutting through the stormy air. The bus driver, visibly relieved, explained the situation, grateful for the arrival of help. As the students were escorted to safety, that cast one last glance at the rain-soaked boss. The rain continued to fall, washing away the eerie atmosphere that had consumed them, but the memory of that night would forever haunt their thoughts, a chilling reminder of the horrors they had faced on a stormy night in the confines of a school bus. As the rain poured down relentlessly, I found myself driving alone on a desolate road in the dead of night. The sound of the rain hitting the roof of my car echoed through the silence, creating an eerie atmosphere. The only source of light was the dim glow of my headlights barely illuminating the road ahead. As I continued driving, a sense of unease began to creep over me. The rain seemed to intensify, making it difficult to see anything beyond a few feet. The windshield wipers struggled to keep up, smearing the raindrops across the glass, distorting my view. Suddenly, a figure appeared on the side of the road. It was a woman, drenched from head to toe, her long, tangled hair clinging to her face. She stood there, motionless, staring directly at me with piercing, haunting eyes. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. My heart raced as I debated whether to stop and offer help or continue driving. Against my better judgment, I decided to pull over. As I stepped out of the car, the rain soaked me instantly, chilling me to the bone. The woman remained still, her gaze fixed upon me. "Are you okay?" I called out, my voice barely audible over the sound of the rain. No response. I cautiously approached her, my footsteps splashing in the puddles. As I got closer, I noticed something peculiar. Her clothes were torn and tattered, as if she had been through a terrible ordeal. Just as I reached out to touch her shoulder, she let out an ear-piercing scream. Startled, I stumbled backward, slipping on the wet ground. The woman's scream echoed through the night, sending shivers down my spine. I scrambled to my feet, desperately trying to regain my composure. But when I looked up, the woman was gone, vanished into thin air. Confusion and fear consumed me as I frantically searched the area, but there was no trace of her. The rain continued to pour, washing away any evidence of her presence. Shaken, I hurried back to my car, my heart pounding in my chest. As I sat behind the wheel, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I glanced at the rearview mirror, and my blood ran cold. In the reflection, I saw the woman, her face pressed against the back window, her eyes filled with an otherworldly darkness. I screamed and slammed my foot on the gas pedal, desperate to escape. The tires screeched as I sped away, leaving the haunting figure behind. The rain continued to pour, but I couldn't shake the feeling that the woman's presence lingered. The night drive had turned into a nightmare, forever etched in my memory. And to this day, whenever it rains, I can't help but feel a chill down my spine, wondering if she's still out there, waiting for her next victim. I walked alone, the silence of the night surrounding me. The moon cast an eerie glow on the deserted streets, creating long, haunting shadows. Each step I took echoed ominously, my heart pounding in my chest. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying an unsettling chill. As I continued my solitary journey, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every corner I turned, I felt unseen eyes boring into my back. My mind played tricks on me, conjuring up images of ghostly figures lurking in the darkness. Suddenly, a low, guttural growl filled the air. I froze in my tracks, my breath catching. In my throat, I strained to see through the blackness, searching for the source of the sound, but all I could see were the twisted shapes of the gnarled trees. Fear consumed me as the growl grew louder, closer. A sense of dread washed over me, my instincts warning me of impending danger. I picked up my pace, desperately trying to escape whatever lurked in the shadows. But with each step I took, the growling seemed to follow, getting louder and more menacing. Panic gripped me, and I stumbled over my own feet, falling to the ground. The thump of my body hitting the pavement echoed through the night, a morbid reminder of my vulnerability. As I lay there, trembling and vulnerable, the growl transformed into a shrill, bone-chilling laughter. It echoed in my ears, mocking my fear. I mustered the courage to look up, my eyes meeting a pair of glowing, malevolent red eyes. Before me stood a figure, hunched and twisted, with long, sharp claws protruding from its skeletal hands. Its grotesque face leered at me, a twisted grin etched upon its pale, gaunt features. I was face to face with a creature of nightmares. Without warning, it lunged at me, its claws slashing through the air with a ferocity that sent shivers down my spine. I scrambled to my feet, fear giving me newfound strength. Adrenaline surged through my veins as I sprinted through the desolate streets, desperate to escape the clutches of this unholy creature. But it pursued me relentlessly, its monstrous laughter ringing in my ears. It toy with me, always just a step behind, its cold breath on the back of my neck. I could feel its malevolence and hunger for my soul. As I rounded a corner, I saw a flicker of light in the distance. I ran towards it, the hope of salvation igniting within me. As I got closer, the light grew brighter until it bathed me in its warm glow. It was a small, quaint cottage, its windows welcoming and inviting. With a burst of energy, I reached the door and pounded on it desperately. A kind-faced old woman opened the door, her eyes filled with concern. Without a word, I stumbled inside, collapsing onto the floor. The old woman tended to me, offering me comfort and solace. She explained that the creature that had pursued me was an ancient, malevolent spirit, doomed to forever haunt the night. She had heard my cries and used her powers to draw it away, giving me a chance to escape. As I lay there, safe and protected, I thanked the old woman for her brave act of kindness. She smiled softly, assuring me that I was now free from harm. But even as the old woman comforted me, I couldn't help but wonder about the creature that had haunted me. I knew that deep in the darkest corners of the night, it still lurked, waiting for its next victim, and I vowed to never walk alone again, for the horrors that await in the shadows are far too terrifying to face alone.